Hello my good fellas, today we are going to talk about Don Fanucci. What is known about him? Was he really part of the Black Hand? What is the Black Hand in general? And why was Vito sure he could get away with killing the chatterbox in white? My name is Ivan Piatouski and you are watching Vano VHS. Fanucci was involved in extortion in Hell's Kitchen, the neighborhood where young Vito Corleone lived. Many believed that Fanucci was related to the infamous gangster Maranzala, which made Fanucci literally untouchable. Maranzala was apparently based on Giuseppe Morello, the founder of the Morello crime family. Morello was the patron of Ignazio Lupo, on whose image Fanucci was based. Fanucci demanded tribute from local businessmen in return for protection. One day, Vito saw Fanucci threatening to mutilate a young girl if her father refused to pay. To make matters worse, Vito lost his job when Fanucci ordered Genco's father to arrange for his nephew to take Vito's place. Somehow, Fanucci got wind that Vito, along with his friends, had committed a series of robberies. One day, he caught Vito and explicitly promised to turn them in to the authorities unless the gang would let him wet his back. When Vito told Clemenza and Tessio about Fanucci's demands, Clemenza and Tessio were at first ready to give in. However, Vito, who suspected that no one was behind Fanucci, persuaded them to give Fanucci only $100 of the $600 demanded. Clemenza and Tessio were very tough guys, but even they decided to pay off Fanucci. Vito offers to give a smaller sum. He is sure he can get Fanucci to agree. Let's pay attention to the scene where the three friends talk in the dining room. This scene symbolizes the change in hierarchy for Clemenza, Tessio and Vito. Up to this point, Clemenza and Tessio had been involved in the street crime, and Corleone was on an equal footing with them. When young Corleone says, "Just remember that I did you a favor," in practice it would mean, "From now on I am your boss." As we can see from the movie trilogy, this state of affairs generally suited them as long as Vito was at the helm. Is it safe to use the internet? Sometimes it feels like hackers and fraudsters are watching your every step and know everything about you. But with a VPN, you can remain anonymous and protect your personal data. Change your location virtually to slip through the sensor unnoticed. You can browse the internet as if you live abroad. A couple of clicks is all it takes. If you use the Hide My Name VPN, your passwords, messages and all other secrets will be completely safe. Test VPN access for 24 hours for free or use an anonymous purchase without registration. Hide My Name VPN allows you to protect up to 5 devices at no extra cost. I've been using this program myself for a year now. All the links are in the description. During a meeting with Fanucci, Vito bangs out $100 instead of $600. Fanucci is taken aback and suggests that Vito work for him. Vito took this as a sign of weakness and became even more convinced of Fanucci's vulnerability. It must be said that Vito decided to pull such a scam for a reason. In the re-edited The Godfather saga, there is a scene in which Vito watches two teenagers from the neighborhood punch Fanucci in the face. Fanucci cries out for help, but nobody rushes to help him. And it only ends when the boys empty his pockets and then slit his throat. Vito knows very well that the real Don is accompanied by guards, and if anyone dares to attack him, he will be heavily punished, most likely whacked. Moreover, Vito notices how Fanucci necks his fedora to prevent blood from getting on his suit. A real mobster wouldn't have cared, for he could have afforded a truckload of new ones. Vito's guess is that the devil is not so black as he is painted. So there you go. After meeting Fanucci, Vito follows him. He takes out the gun he had prepared the day before and wraps a towel around it as an improvised silencer. When Fanucci arrives at the threshold of his apartment, Vito catches him off guard by shooting him in the chest. Before he knows it, Fanucci gets a second shot to the cheek. Vito then fires a control shot. No one hears the shots. They are drowned out by the loud music and fireworks. The parade outside was in full swing. After getting rid of Fanucci, Vito returns the money that the pseudo-don had embezzled earlier, and then throws the gun away by throwing its parts down the chimney. Vito subsequently takes over the reins of Little Italy. As a result of the lack of interest or response after Fanucci's death, it became apparent that he had in fact made up tales about his connections, or at the very least greatly exaggerated them. But how did the elimination of Fanucci make Corleone so powerful? There were rumors of his involvement with the Black Hand. Merchants gave Fanucci money because they were afraid something would happen to them if they didn't pay. But much of this was because Fanucci acted like he was a big shot. The Little Italy was impressed by Vito's boldness and courage, and they adored Corleone because Vito treated people with far more respect, for which he was revered by the local representatives. Black Hand or La Mano Nera is an Italian form of racketeering. Originating in 18th century Italy, Black Hand extortion came to the United States in the late 19th century with immigrants. Black Hand was a method of extortion practiced by the gangsters of Camorra and Mafia. Typical Black Hand actions consisted of sending the victim a letter threatening bodily harm, kidnapping, arson or murder. The letter demanded that a certain amount of money be delivered to a certain place. The letter itself was decorated with threatening symbols, such as a smoking gun, a hangman's noose, a skull or a knife bleeding or piercing a human heart, and was often signed by a hand raised in a universal gesture of warning, printed or drawn in thick black ink. Sometimes criminals have resorted to violence against law enforcement officers who have struggled with Black Hand schemes. Victims of murders linked to Black Hand operations include New Orleans Police Department Chief David Hennessy and New York City Police Department Lieutenant Joseph Petrosino. Subscribe to my channel so you don't miss future Godfather videos. Support the channel by buying the Godfather merch. All the links are in the description. Make sure to watch the full Godfather playlist on the right. My name is Ivan Piatouski and you are watching Vano VHS.